station of Fox Sports.
We are Blackboard. We are Sports Zone.
Timely hits, including a handful of home runs along the way, have spelled success on this homestand. Tonight, Big Papi, David Ortiz, and the Red Sox return to Turner Field before this four-game set travels to Fenway. Tonight, it's Game 2. The BOS Sox and the Braves are next on Sports Zone. It's another beautiful night for baseball in Atlanta, and Red Sox Nation has turned out in force for this two-game set between the BOS Sox and the Braves here at Turner Field. All your long Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price, every day. An entertaining game yesterday, won by the Red Sox, who overcame a 6-1 deficit to the Braves. Atlanta tries to even things up as we wrap up our 9-game homestand here at home tonight. Hi again, friends, along with John Smoltz and Joe Simpson, Chip Carey. Welcome back to Turner Field, where the Braves bats have suddenly come to life. Braves are having a good run on the homestand. They are 5-3 with a chance to go 6-3 with a big offensive game tonight, Joe and John.
Well, the offense has been the topic of conversation since the season started. Pitching has been carrying them, but the offense has been, the outfield has been delivering the punch. Upton, of course, been unbelievable against left-handers, Justin that is. And Jason Hayward, I feel like, is the key because he's the top of the order hitter. He sets the table for their offense, and they have had success on this homestand.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Aaron Harang tonight to get some of this run support that you see here over this homestand that's been quite productive, 10 home runs and all. But Aaron, while he's in ball games, is only averaging 1.6 runs of support. He could use a little of that and get it early tonight against John Lester.
John Lester can relate to Aaron Harang's problems. 6 losses for John Lester. The Red Sox have scored a grand total of 7 runs in those 6 losses. But hitting lefties, fellas, not been a problem for this Atlanta ball club. And when we come back, Jen Hildreth will talk about the Braves' great work against southpaw pitching as we continue from Turner Field. It's the Braves and BOS Sox tonight, Game 2.
losing streak yesterday, the Braves would like a little payback at Turner Field tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Hildreth. The Braves looking to end this 9-game homestand on a good note. To do that, they're going to have to beat lefty Jon Lester. And the Braves as a team have been doing pretty well against lefties. They're hitting .281 to rank second in the National League against left-handed pitchers. And one guy in particular who's been crushing it against the southpaws is Justin Upton. That is our Home Depot tools from the dugout. You look at Justin against lefties. He's hitting .400 with a .538 on-base percentage, slugging over 1,000. Part of that is because 6 of his 12 hits against lefties have been home runs. And I asked Justin about hitting against lefties earlier today.
Righties, we see a lot of, righties on the mound. So when you do see that lefty, it is a little bit of a relief to say, oh, okay, well, we finally get the other hand rather than, lefties always getting the righties. So I don't think it has that much to do with it, but, you obviously, it's a little different look, and you see the ball a little bit earlier.
Justin Upton also leads the majors with 10 home runs at home this season. He has 1 hit against Jon Lester in his career, and it was, guess what, a home run. One other update for you guys. Evan Gattis, a late scratch for the Braves. I just received word that's because he suffered a right wrist strain in batting practice. So Gerald Laird will be behind the plate again for the Braves tonight. Both Braves catchers doing a phenomenal job this homestand. So the Braves and Aaron Harang will hope to take one from the Red Sox after Boston snapped their losing streak last night. Atlanta, Boston coming up.
As the Braves wrap things up at home against the Boston Red Sox, Aaron Harang on the hill for Atlanta. And Tuesday night Braves baseball is presented by your Atlanta area Mazda dealers. Braves let one get away yesterday, leading 6-1. Boston came back and scored 7 unanswered runs and won last night by an 8-6 final score. That snapped their season-high 10-game losing streak. And in today's lineup is presented by Toyota and skipper John Farrell. You've got to worry about Dustin Pedroia, always a pesky hitter, always terrific in interleague play. And he's hitting right in front of David Ortiz. That tandem knocked in 5 of those big Boston runs yesterday.
Well, Aaron Harang, you see the numbers, started off on fire and caught up to him a little bit. 1 in 3 of his last 5 starts you see there. But when he's going good, it looks like he's just having a day of catch with the catcher. He just doesn't look like he's exerting much energy and throwing all his pitches for strikes.
And the big 6'7" right-hander's 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Number 1, avoid some early problems. That's what he ran into in his last start against the Brewers. He gave up a run in the first, one in the third, one in the fourth, was pitching out of trouble for the first 4 innings of the ball game. Hopefully that won't be the case tonight. And some runs, as we just talked about in the opening comments, the Braves only averaging 1.6 runs of support to Aaron while he's in the game, so some early runs of support for him would certainly be welcome.
Can I just tell you real quick, Joe, the whole time we've been doing this, I thought you were missing 2 keys.
Oh,
I thought you said 4 keys to success. You're actually saying Ford keys to success. I get it now. I didn't want to say anything till just now.
I'll do better on my pronouncing.
Brock Holt is the, and off we go. Brock Holt is the Boston leadoff man, and this guy's a real spark plug. He's done a nice job for the Red Sox, hitting .322 on the year, and he's got a 7-game hit streak.
Well, they've tried everybody at the leadoff spot, including Dustin Pedroia, and they at least settled here temporarily with Brock Holt. To your point, Chip, he has ignited him a little bit, even though they hadn't won till yesterday in a while.
Sharply hit and into center field. Tyler Pasternaky couldn't corral that. And Brock Holt's aboard to start the game for the Red Sox. That's ruled a hit. So Holt has an 8-game hitting streak, and he's aboard in front of Xander Bogaerts. Aaron Harang immediately to the stretch with Boston shortstop up there. Last 9 games, 13 hits, a couple of homers, 6 RBIs. Bogaerts hitting .279 overall for the year. And then it's off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Bogaerts is out of Aruba. And the question in Boston is, when Stephen Drew comes up from the minor leagues, where will Bogaerts play? 1 ball, no strikes. And that one called a strike by Bob Davidson.
I don't think it'd be any question except that Holt's so hot. It'd be hard to take him out of the lineup. He's been such a spark plug for them. And he's made a few errors at third base, but if he keeps swinging the bat like he's swinging it right now, it may be tough to get him out of the lineup when Drew comes back.
1 ball, 1 strike. Good lead at first by Holt. And Laird corrals that. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, in the future, I think Bogaerts is going to grow into the position he wants, and that's shortstop. Right now, a lot of people feel third base would be best suited for him. His range hasn't been as great, and that's why they've missed Stephen Drew. Not from an offensive Stephen Drew, but a defensive Stephen Drew, a guy who's going to make most of the plays at short.
Two-one pitch. His bounce toward third. That's off the heel of Johnson's glove, and then he fumbles the ball with a bare hand. So a hit for Holt, an error on Johnson, and the Red Sox have 2 on with nobody out, and Pedroia coming up.
This ball was hit real slow, not like a hot shot to third, and I'm confident that Chris thought he might have a chance at a double play, which probably didn't.
Yeah, he fielded that ball to quickly throw to second, thinking that maybe they could turn 2, but the reality is, to your point, they were only going to get 1, and they didn't get anybody.
Here's Pedroia, a 2-run single on an 0-2 pitch in yesterday's big 5th inning for Boston. Pedroia also walked twice.
Well, this lineup is going to let you throw first pitch strikes if you can. The first couple times around, they're going to be very patient, look at the pitcher and what he's doing, but you always got to be leery of a situation where you assume they're going to take the pitch, and next thing you know, they've drilled a gap or hit a home run,
especially with runners on.
One ball, 2 strikes.
Pedroia does not have a career hit against Aaron Harang. He's 0 for 5. Right off his knuckles into the seats. And we'll do it again. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, that was a good pitch because it was down. If it was up, we've seen what Dustin can do, and it opens up the plate now away if he wants. Everybody early on in their career always thought that they could take the bat out of Pedroia's hands by pounding him in, and he changed the scouting report really fast.
David Ortiz lurks on deck. And Holt's got an excellent secondary lead and moves up to third base. Ball in the dirt and runners at the corners. Bogart's still at first.
You know what's interesting is what certain guys lack, they make up for in instincts and baseball playing. You know, that's the one thing that new analytics and all these things that are going on can't measure, is a baseball instinct player. And it looks like Holt doesn't take anything for granted and never assumes, and is always going to be in the right place at the right time.
As soon as that ball bounced off of Gerald's chest protector, he broke very quick.
So a wild pitch, and now a 2-2 count. Swing and a rocket hit toward left. And Upton retreats to the warning track to make the catch. Holt will tag. He will score. It's 1-0 Boston on a Pedroia sac fly.
So there's some of that early trouble, but it wasn't all his fault. But the wild pitch certainly had something to do with it.
So here the Boston fans cheered David Ortiz, who had the game tying homer in the 5th inning yesterday. His 12th home run of the season and the 443rd in his career, good for 39th all time. Braves had a shift on for Ortiz, who takes a strike, and he didn't like the call.
And this shift, unlike other shifts, only has one person out of position. They kept Anderson Simmons at short so he can turn the double play, and they moved Chris Johnson over into an extra second baseman.
PNC pitching performance on Fox Tracks, just shaving that inside line. Bob Davidson gave him the call.
And the outside corner's open, 0-2.
Yeah, you're at a big disadvantage as a hitter when those two areas are called strikes. Now you have to chase and expand. That's a pitcher talking. So I would say you try to expand it even further now in the third pitch. And I really believe, we talked about this before, I think if the vertical strike up and down is called more often and less out and in, you won't hear a lot of people complain. The game can be sped up instead of the issues that we're dealing with, and the length of time of game has a lot to do with what they force the umpires to do in Quez Tech and all the technology that exists today.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Ortiz. And that missed down and in.
Well, there's a good reason for that. As a hitter, you see that pitch up better than any other pitch because it's closer to eye level, and you can gauge or judge if it's a pitch you want to go after. That pitch away from you on the outside corner especially, you can't tell really if that crossed the line on the corner or not, and you always want to think that it's a ball.
Swing and a miss. Ortiz is down on strikes. So Harang retires, the Boston first baseman, and that'll bring up Johnny Gomes.
He didn't throw this one where he wanted to, but because there was some confusion from Big Papi, he got away with a
pitch that wasn't intended to the target.
Gomes lined out and struck out last night. He also walked twice. And as Joe pointed out, such a rarity in today's modern offensive game. That front foot is right at the back edge at the top of the batter's box.
Not too many guys move out there. They're trying to wait as long as they can to see the pitch by standing deeper in the box.
But you know, it always made sense to me that if a guy didn't throw overwhelmingly hard, that you would want to get up in front of the box to take the other stuff away.
But you never see anybody move around in the box anymore, John. I was always taught that if a guy's beating you and beating you through the game with off-speed stuff, breaking balls, changeups, move up in the front of the box, take something away from him, and force him to be a little more uncomfortable with his fastball to challenge him.
Ground ball to short. Simmons will flip to second in time, and that'll retire the side. Boston scores the game's first run on a sacrifice fly, a hit and an error as well. John Lester with a 1-0 lead. Run, the Braves tried to respond here in the home half of the first inning. And David Ortiz, fellas, looks like he tried to make a little peace with Bob Davidson.
Well, he's doing what most players would do when they watch the video and see where it was and say, look, you can't have both sides. You give him one side, you can't have the other side as well.
I don't know. Bob Davidson had a real frightened look on his face, and Big Poppy was running at him.
Well, here's the Braves lineup presented by Toyota. You see Gerald Laird highlighted. Evan Gattis sprained his wrist during batting practice. His status day to day. Gerald Laird has had a terrific homestand. He'll hit 7th, Pasternaky 8th, Harang 9th against, I think, a terrific left-hander in John Lester.
Well, and he certainly doesn't mind pitching on the road in interleague or in interleague period. If you see those numbers, John Lester is a horse. He helped single-handedly carry them through the World Series and the playoffs last year.
His Ford keys to pitching success. Ford.
Got it.
He is the man, John. He's the guy that they like out there after a loss, to be a stopper on a losing streak. He was 3-0. He is 3-0 in his career in the World Series. He's given up 1 run in 21 innings in the World Series. And then in on right-handed hitters. You were talking about it before the game started, about using his cutter in to right-handers.
Yeah, he just lives on the glove side of his, what I mean glove side, he loves that side of the plate. So a left-hander is going to be away to a lefty, into a righty. When you say arm side, he likes arm side, that's going to be obviously the opposite. So he loves to throw the front door cutters, the back door cutters to right-handers, but he loves that side of the plate.
Fly ball hammered right center field and deep. That ball is way out of here.
Sounded like he hit it with a pipe. It was so solid. Jason Hayward 4 for 4 with a homer now off of John Lester.
Yeah, he tried that front door cutter. He tried to throw it at his hip and have it catch the inside part of the plate, but it caught the middle of the plate. And a pitcher knows as soon as he throws it, you can see the look on his face. He didn't have to turn around and see where it went.
5th career leadoff homer for Jason Hayward, ties the game at 1. And now a hot shot toward third by B.J. Upton. Brock Holt cuts it off. And there's out number 1.
Well, if there's anybody that could give the team a scouting report on John Lester, it's B.J. Upton. 55 career at bats against him coming into the game today.
John is such a powerful left-handed pitcher. At times he can fall in love with the cutter, which takes away a little bit of the change of speeds that he has between fastball and cutter. That curveball he has in a can, he'll throw changeups, but the curveball changes the eyes of the hitter as well.
And if there's anybody that can give the Red Sox and John Lester a scouting report on the Braves, it's David Ross, who's catching.
David, I don't know if they use the term in Boston, personal catcher, but he has caught Lester an awful lot. Did not catch John in his last start against Toronto, a start that saw Lester allow 7 runs in 6+ innings against the Jays. That's high and tight.
There's something going on in Toronto, especially leery of Boston going in there, and they can't figure it out. They really can't, because they get beat up a lot more than they should pitching wise in Toronto. Toronto has a really good offensive club, but it's a little you start getting conspiracy theories going on around there. And
well, they've won 7 in a row. They're beating up on a lot more people than just Boston.
Yeah,
9 out of 10.
Well, it's funny, there were some earlier in the series who talked about the team you're seeing Toronto sport is the team they thought they had last year. The team that Boston is fielding this year is the team the Red Sox thought they were going to have last year.
Right.
So it's total role reversal for those two clubs in the AL East. And that caught an inside corner. Freeman caught looking. He's out number 2.
that was the pitch he was trying to throw to Hayward. It really is unhittable when you can throw it inside. It's a ball the whole time, and then last minute catches a little bit of the plate. That's an illusion to the umpire that makes it very difficult to track that ball as a ball. So if it catches the part of where the catcher's got his glove, more times than not, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
So here's Justin Upton. Huge numbers at home, and as we talked with Jen in our opening comments, Upton's had a great run against left-handed pitching this year. And Upton was fooled on that pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, he can throw hard. His fastball can range up to the mid-90s with his 4-seamer.
And ball 2.
You were playing John with the Red Sox when he broke in. What kind of guy is he?
Oh, he's everything you want to front the rotation, to be your horse. He's a workout guy. He's a horse in the sense that he wants the ball and he wants to pitch a lot of innings.
Upton singles over short.
like all of us, you can be a little hard on yourself, sometimes too much, to where you don't experience things during the season, during the game. But he has really toned all that down. And again, clutch is what I would say, especially when the time gets to where you want him in the playoffs. But he struggles a little bit, as every pitcher, big guy, over rotation. Once he gets his mechanics down, and once he doesn't turn too much, he throws the ball primarily where he wants to. But when he drifts and lowers the arm, then it becomes what you see every once in a while. That cutter kind of doesn't get to the place he intends it to go.
A ball low to Chris Johnson, the Braves' third baseman tonight.
Well, that was a good looking pitch too, and caused Lester to do a double take.
There's the changeup. That's just such a great equalizer to a guy geared up for that four-seamer and looking for the cutter in. He throws a little dead fish changeup that just sits on the outer half part of the plate, and the hitter has no chance to recognize it's actually having a change of speeds.
Outside corner, 1-2.
That was Chris's pitch right there. Fastball away.
And that one fought off. Johnson still alive. Braves tie the game on a Jason Hayward leadoff homer. He's 4 for 4 now, lifetime against Lester. And it's the first home run Lester has allowed to a left-handed batter since last July, when Raul Ibanez took him out.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. That just shows you how tough he is and the angles that he comes at you from the left side. So Jason Hayward sees something that not a lot of left-handers can see.
Chris, another Brave that's had extraordinary luck against left-handed pitching this year. He ranks third in the National League with a .444 average against southpaws. That's 12 hits and 27 at bats. That one, no, tipped and caught by David Ross, and it ends the Atlanta first. A run on 2 hits, including a leadoff homer for Jason Hayward, the 5th leadoff blast of his big league career. We're tied at 1 after 1. Hayward's solo homer ties it up for Atlanta. And we invite you to secure your spot on the new ballpark priority list today. This gives fans who are not current season ticket holders access to buy season tickets for the new Braves ballpark when it opens for the 2017 season. Joining the priority list requires a $100 refundable deposit. Go to braves.com/new ballpark and sign up today. Grady Sizemore, David Ross, and Jackie Bradley Jr. coming up in the Boston second. Sizemore had a triple and a run scored in yesterday's ball game. That came in the Red Sox third inning.
Baseball is an incredible game in a long season. And the incredible part of it is you get to go right back out there after a bad loss or a great win. And the Braves definitely had a bad loss, but they get to make up for it tonight. But the lingering effects sometimes, and you see this all throughout the year, 10-game losing streak, takes a game like that to lose it. They could go on a, who knows. But it's your job as the next day starting pitcher to end it as soon as you can.
Liner out of play by Sizemore, still 2-2.
And what I mean by that is it's just another game, but it's more than a game when you're starting a game like this, when you've had that bad loss, that bad taste in your mouth. You've gone so bad to pitch the best game you can so that it can erase that, because it's fresh and everyone goes home and they go, I can't believe we lost that game.
A liner by Sizemore into right field. He's got a leadoff single.
I think it was the first time all year that it was the pitchers who let them down.
Yep.
There have been so many games already this season where the starting pitchers have been beaten 1-0 or 2-1. And last night the Braves scored, or yesterday afternoon the Braves scored a ton of runs. And the pitchers, it wasn't enough for the pitchers. So they're excused, I think, after all the other payback.
I agree. And what people don't understand is when you're constantly in 9 starts, 8 of them have been in really tight games, and you're on your mental toughness every single pitch, then you get that breathing room. And people would say, finally, but it is something difficult about getting a breathing room that you haven't had all year, and you kind of take your foot off the gas just a little bit. Next thing you know, an inning like yesterday happens, and you go, how in the world could that won't happen again? You can count on 2 fingers in all of baseball that scored 5 runs with 2 outs and nobody on.
Not only 2 outs and nobody on, but an 0-2 count.
Yeah. And again, we all been there, but sometimes the simplest remedy is, here, hit it. Here, see what you can do in those situations. And more times than not, they hit it at people. But when you try to trick them or do something against a hitter that's struggling and he walks,
David Ross couldn't check his swing. He's rung up. That's strike 2. It's an 0-2 count. I don't think David liked that call.
I don't think he went.
He didn't ask for any help. He just made the call, and that's what made and irritated David. Made him mad.
Bob likes to make a lot of different calls, especially the balk call.
He does have 3 helpers out there if he needs them.
Little tapper toward third. Funny hop. Look at the play by Johnson. Wow.
The only way he was going to get him was to barehand it, and he got a nice hop to come up in the air for him and got him with plenty to spare. Good play after a rough first inning for the Braves defense.
Split finger grip. Nice.
So Sizemore to second, 1 out for Jackie Bradley Jr., the young center fielder for Boston, riding an 0 for his last 10 run. hitting 193 for the season.
And here's a perfect case, I think, objectively guessing, that working the count is hurting him. And what I mean by that is, you know, you get applauded for patience and 4.3 pitches per game per at bat and on base percentage. If you're not getting on base, if you're not hitting, what good is that to work the count, constantly getting in 2 strikes? I think he needs to be a little more aggressive.
And you may be missing your pitch early in the count.
Exactly. And you know, when you have a Joey Votto or Mike Napoli or even David Ortiz, they're getting that production and working the pitcher to work their pitch.
Well, that's a complaint that some of the fans of the New York Mets have had about the Mets offense, and it cost their hitting coach Dave Hudgens his job. He was let go by Sandy Alderson, a longtime friend of Alderson's in the big leagues. Lamar Johnson's the new Mets hitting coach. Now, Bradley looks inside.
I totally agree with you, because they don't have the type of hitters that, if you make the pitcher work and you're getting favorable counts, it's not, they don't have those numbers. They're not producing. And you know what, today's game,
what are they accomplishing?
Right. In today's game, you're better off maybe keeping the starter in the game longer and trying to get your runs off of him than facing all the 5 and 4 different pitchers out of the pen throwing 95, 97.
And maybe this is a sacrilegious question, but is the game of baseball now teaching hitters to not swing the bat?
That's exactly what guys are fearful of, the way the game is headed. We're almost playing Stratomatic. How does it? What's that?
Matic.
Yeah, that game.
3-2 pitch.
Could have been here 3 innings trying to get that word.
Sponsored by Ford.
I mean, there is some value between the guy that's the free swinger that obviously he doesn't recognize the strike zone, and then the guy who takes so many pitches that he misses his pitch and isn't driving the ball out of the ballpark like he could, instead walking.
And Bradley's down on strikes. Harang got the 8th place hitter. And now you feel real good about his chances with John Lester up there. Lester does not have a hit in the big leagues. And at the moment, Lester has 38 plate appearances in the big leagues without a hit. That's tied for first among active players. He shares that mark with Alex Wood of the Braves. The irony of it is, when John Lester was a high school baseball player in Washington State, he was an outfielder, and he was looked at as a 3 or 4 hitter. He said, "I hated pitching." He liked to swing the bat.
My, how times have changed.
Yes.
And Harang's gotten after him quickly, 0-2.
Well, it took a Mets rookie to break their 0 for 65 pitchers stretch. He got hit in his first at bat. DeGrom.
Jacob DeGrom. And Lester takes a called 3rd strike. 39 plate appearances without a hit. He's now the active leader in that category. Harang gets out of second inning trouble. Our game's tied 1 apiece.
AT&T Uverse, Delta Airlines, and Ford.
Braves hope to chalk up a win against the Red Sox in the homestand finale today. Then we're off to Boston. And our pal Matt Coney and the gang with Delta Airlines, proud sponsors of the Atlanta Braves, will take great care of us. We'll head on up to Logan International Airport for our 2-game date with the Red Sox at historic Fenway Park.
It was a good question presented before the game started about this 2-game set and then 2 more in Boston. Is it a 4-game series, or is this a 2-game series and a 2-game series up there? So if you win tonight, if you're the Braves, is that a split series?
I think so. A series usually constitutes one place.
Do you guys like these back-to-back series?
No.
I don't understand
quick
why.
Enough?
Yeah, I don't understand why they do it.
Well, they have to do some because of the way the imbalance is. They have to do some 2-game series, but they've been piggybacking them with the quote-unquote rivals. And this becomes the Braves' arch rivals.
Did it with Toronto last year.
I know.
That was a lot of fun. Simmons takes a shot at right. Boy, I'd love to see that. And he's aboard to start the Braves second. That's the 3rd Atlanta hit.
He did that yesterday. Took a little off his swing, just went to right field. David Ross's target is away. They tried the backdoor breaking ball to that cutter, and he didn't give up on it. Well done.
And I'm telling you, when the backdoor cutter is great, it's great. But when it floats, it gives the hitter more of a chance. So early on, we've seen 2 really poorly executed cutters that have been hit hard, one for home run, one for single.
So Gerald Laird, a late addition to the Braves lineup when Evan Gattis sprained his wrist during batting practice. It's hoped Gattis might be available tomorrow, but he can't go tonight. And you see the throwing hand with the heavy wrap on the Braves bench. 1 ball, no strikes. And here's a look at our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot. Look at what the Braves catching corps has done on the homestand.
Outstanding work. And for Gerald Laird, 4 of the RBIs belong to him. His first 4 of the year. Big RBIs in that Milwaukee series.
And he tries to shoot the gap in left center field. Bradley stumbles, keeps the ball in front, but he can't prevent Simmons from taking third. And then a bad decision to throw to third allows Laird to move up an extra 90 feet. Second and third for Atlanta, nobody out.
The reason that is a bad play, and of course he tries to make a heroic play by diving, stop it, and throw it to third. If it's first and third and Pasternicki's up, you got a chance to wiggle out of this with, at the bare minimum, 1 with the pitcher coming up. Now creates more pressure.
Yeah, and the other side of it, he made a good play to keep the ball in front of him. Good effort to try and catch it. But when the shortstop goes out with you on that and you've got nobody to cut the throw off, you got to be awfully sure you can get the guy at third base. Otherwise, you're going to allow that runner to move up to second, the batter runner. So the Braves will take that break.
So the scoring on the play for the real G Money is a single. He takes second on the throwing error. And that allows Simmons to third, allows Laird to second, and Pasternicki in the batter's box.
This is an at-bat for Pasternicki that's going to test his patience. And I'll explain what I mean after this pitch. As the 8th hitter with the pitcher on deck, you're trying to guess, are they really trying to pitch to me? Or are they seeing how aggressive I will be with a base open
Even though there's no outs, it's not the end of the world because you've got the pitcher up next. So far, his patience has been pretty good, but the patience is going to start running thin with Bob Davidson.
Yeah.
2 straight innings, had 2 different players have conversations in between innings about particular calls, and John Lester is growing a little impatient as well on some calls.
Well, he already complained. He already stared him down earlier this inning already when Laird was up there. He's already had 2 pitches he didn't get.
2 balls and a strike. Let me correct the scoring on the Laird play. There was no error. I misheard the official score in the press box. Laird took second on the throw by Jackie Riley, not on a throwing error. So for Tyler, still second and third, nobody out. And a 2-1 count.
And that's a perfect example right there of you don't care if you're John Lester and David Ross. You're trying to make a perfect pitch there to get a strike 2, and you don't care if you go to ball 3. I would anticipate this pitch being somewhat of an aggressive pitch out of the zone as well. Don't give in to the count.
Aaron Harang's on deck. Braves threaten to take a lead here. And that's off the plate. Lester again, a long look in at Bob Davidson. And this might, guessing, be a chance for Lester to ask David Ross to ask Bob Davidson, how much is he missing by?
Well, David Ross is too far off the plate, for one. So he's trying to set up a way to catch that corner. And because he's too far off the plate, he's not going to get the call. The umpire is going to give you the benefit of the doubt if the catcher's closer. And if we can see a replay of this, you'll see why he's so far off the plate. Look at where he's standing. There's no way to get this. Look at the glove. There's no way to get this call. Even if he hits the glove, it's a ball. So to the pitcher, it looks like a strike because you hit your spot. So now you got to tell your catcher, hey, is it off the plate? Are you set too far off the plate? Get back closer to the plate. That scenario, again, they didn't care if they walked him because now they have the pitcher up or the bases loaded. And it's not a big a threat with nobody out.
And for the Braves, you don't mind a strikeout here. You just don't want a double play.
Exactly.
Harang is 1 for 18.
And the reason you can't bunt or suicide or do any of that is because it's a force play. It makes it too easy for the pitcher or anybody else to throw to home. So in these situations, I know it sounds crazy, you try to lift, clean, and separate as a pitcher because you should either go in deep or striking out. Yeah. Let the other guy do the work because a ground ball double play, even though it may score a run, kind of kills the rally a little bit.
Back to the mound. Lester to Ross for 1. And the peg to first is in time for the double play. That's exactly what the Red Sox needed and exactly what the Braves didn't want to have happen. A 1-2-3 double play.
And that's the difference between the National League and the American League. Because you have pitchable situations to get out of a jam, you don't even mind. Believe it, it sounds crazy. Bases loaded, nobody out with the pitcher up is less of a rally if you do exactly that, get the pitcher to hit it, versus second and third and the top of the order is up. But still,
even with a strikeout, John, you know that you've still got a chance to get a double play and get out of the inning.
Correct.
If you get the pitcher.
But now Lester has to figure out how to retire Jason Hayward, something he's never done. Hayward is 4 for 4 against him lifetime, and he homered to start the Braves game tonight.
Dialed it up a little bit. 94 on that 4-seamer. I would be shocked if he goes back to an inside cutter to Hayward.
Bouncer toward Pedroia at second. He'll make the play to first. How about that? Lester had the bases loaded, nobody out. A double play and a ground out ends the Braves' threat.
One of the guys who got on base with a hit was Gerald Laird, who was a late addition to the lineup tonight when Evan Gattis strained his right wrist in batting practice. But I talked to the guys in the clubhouse earlier today about the fact that they have confidence no matter who's behind the plate, because not only have both Gattis and Laird and Ryan Doumit, when called upon, done a good job back there defensively, but they've also brought a pretty good bat when they step up to the plate on this homestand. Gerald has certainly made the most of his opportunities, hitting .368. That includes that hit tonight. So the guys hoping their experienced man behind the plate can help him out once again.
Jen, that's why it's so valuable to have experience back there to be your backup guy. They know how to prepare for when their time does come. They know how to jump in there and play like tonight in a real quick emergency, as was the case earlier in the homestand when Gattis was sick. Always pays to have a guy back there who knows what he's doing.
So Harang now faces the top of the Boston order. Brock Holt leads off. He singled and scored the only Boston run of game.
Big momentum switch for not only the game but for Boston. Whenever a team gets out of a big jam, and that next inning, it's very important to silence the opponent's bats to get back in, because they feel they just outran lightning.
Two and two. Red Sox battery trying to find a way to make it easier against the Braves offense. Pop fly by Holt to left, and Upton's underneath it. He's got it. There's out number one.
The encouraging sign for me for the Braves offense is they've gotten a lot more opportunities lately. I know they haven't cashed in on as many yesterday. Believe it or not, when you say the team scored 6 runs, you think they did a good enough job, and they will more times than not. But to have that many hits and walks and only come away with 6 today already, and 4 hits and bases loaded, nobody out, to only have 1 run, it's frustrating.
Yeah, but like you said, they're getting more opportunities because they're getting more guys on base. They're stringing some hits together, something they weren't able to do when they were really down and out offensively.
And there's nothing that makes a club look flatter than a lack of offense, is there? I mean, nobody's on base, nobody's getting big hits. You're obviously not scoring runs.
Believe it or not, even during our run, you know how many times we would go through stretches and go, we stink. And you just go through those. We're not very good right now, you know, and then you would think over the course of the season it'll even itself out. But to your point, Chip, I mean, the way you look doing it can give some false reads as, oh gosh. And you look around baseball, there's a lot of teams struggling to score runs.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Xander Bogaerts. He reached on an error, and he'll bounce that one foul. Still 2-2.
And I think because today the game has changed in ways, some for the better, some for the worse, because strikeouts don't matter anymore, it gets a little ridiculous. You know, we're setting all kinds of strikeout records, but it doesn't seem to bother anybody.
Another chance for Upton in left.
I don't mean we as the Atlanta Braves team. I mean we as baseball.
It does matter. It does matter. It matters that guys aren't putting the ball in play. It matters that nothing's happening. Guys are turning around and walking back to the dugout. Chip sent me a story the other day about, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but about how, you know, fans come to see a well-pitched game. They want to see a big game pitcher, but they want to see some action. Yep. You know, they want to see the ball put in play. They want to see defensive plays made, double plays turned.
Pedroia bats with 2 outs. I believe it's 7 consecutive years strikeouts have risen in the major leagues.
And there's something inherently wrong with anybody that thinks that strikeouts don't matter, when if you put the ball in play, just like the Red Sox did in the first inning, good things can happen.
Look at Pedroia take the ball to right. So a base hit to go along with his sacrifice fly, and he's aboard in front of Ortiz in the Red Sox third. I think the more interesting thing would be to find out, and I don't know the answer to this, but if strikeouts have risen over the last 7 years, have called strikes risen 7 consecutive years? Going back to our earlier point about players being trained to not swing the bat.
Yeah, I don't think it has. I think it's more of. Oh, you mean called strikes out of the zone, or just called strikes?
I'll bet there have been a lot more.
I got you. Yeah.
Hey, Bobby Cox always told a great story. His first at bat in the big leagues with the Yankees. First pitch he saw, he said, was half a ball width off the black, and he looked back at the umpire when he said, "Strike one." And Bobby looked back at the umpire and said, "It's the big leagues, kid. Swing the bat."
Yeah.
Two balls, no strikes to first baseman David Ortiz. He struck out in the first inning. Still not seeing eye to eye with Bob Davidson. Time for our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Let's check out the career of Big Papi.
Among active players, 4th in homers at 443, 3rd in RBIs, and that clutch number there, those go-ahead RBIs, so much a part of what he's become famous for in Boston.
Hall of Famer?
I think he's getting real close. I really do. Unless he has just a fall off, which I think he's still got a year or 2 left. I think he does. I know there's just a little bit on that resume that's questionable as far as performance, but I think he has proven year in year out, just when they thought maybe he's going downhill, he keeps delivering.
The biggest drawback for him will be the fact that 90% of his numbers come from being a DH.
Yep. But he can still do that. That ball hit right on the button but B.J. Upton tracks it down to retire the side in the third. B.J. leads things off for Atlanta. Our game tied at 1. State of offense in the major leagues. Johnny, you thinking about a comeback, another year of the pitcher?
You have no idea how many years I've thought about a comeback. Shoulder won't allow it.
All the offensive numbers down, all the pitching numbers up. Yes, you're the pitcher. Good call. Lowest batting average since 1972. Is that what that said?
Yeah.
John Lester to work in the third inning with B.J. Upton. And he scalds one past Holt and down the left field line. Upton on his way to second with a leadoff double for the Braves.
There's a first pitch swing on a 92 fastball. Holt made a good play on him first time up on a ball that's hit right at him. This time he yanks it between Holt and the line. Fastball that was supposed to be away sailed over the middle of the plate. Another opportunity.
Yeah. And Freddie's the best in the game as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes to a fault at hooking and pulling the ball to the right side, giving himself up to make sure the runner gets to third.
He took a called third strike his first time up. Slowly but surely, the Braves' work with runners in scoring position is beginning to climb. Braves up to 234 as a team now, with runners at second or third base. Doesn't sound like a lot, but considering where it was before this homestand, that's much improved work. And a great chance for the Braves to lead here. As that one caught a corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
See, to me, even that can be a little deceiving. You can get runs in without hits and the average go down, which would be effective. 2 out scoring position, that's more indicative of getting hits.
Agreed. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the season when things were really kind of at their worst, was that you don't have to get a base hit. Move a runner up, sac fly, ground ball out. There are a lot of ways to get a run in without getting a base hit. provided you take advantage of opportunities like this with a leadoff double.
And Freeman can't advance Upton. He's down on strikes.
That was a good job by Lester of going in, out, and Freddie taking one pitch that would have been good to try and pull.
Time for our Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Chris Johnson tearing it up against lefties. You see his average this season. Several teammates doing a great job too, but Chris 12 for 28 against left-handed pitching on the year after his strikeout in the first inning.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Pedroia off the edge of his glove. He'll fire back to third, and Upton back in safely. Braves runners are at the corners now with one out.
Lester is 6'4", but that ball just barely cleared his glove. Now Doug DeCenzo trying to get BJ to stop and get back to third, knowing Pedroia was coming over there.
One of the strange trends that Lester had coming into this game, Chip, was as runners got on base, he was having trouble putting them away, and it was reflecting in his averages with runners in scoring position, as you see right here. That's unusual for a guy of his caliber, and he's done okay tonight with the trouble that he's been in.
First and third for Chris Johnson. That's downstairs, ball one. Lester allowed 10 hits in his last start. He surrendered 6 in his first 2 1/3 innings against the Braves tonight. But to this point, he's allowed only 1 run.
This is one of those at bats that Greg Walker talks about with his guys, where it's almost like he doesn't want Chris to see the guy at first base. Just drive in 1 run for me. Just get 1 run in, and then maybe somebody else will come up and drive in another run. But if you're thinking about trying to drive in both runs, especially if a guy is at first base or hit a home run, it's not the right approach. Just get that guy in from third base.
And to your point, Joe, unfortunately, guys don't pick a side of the field that makes it harder if there is going to be a double play ball to turn. The 6-4-3 is about as easy as it gets. The 4-6-3 gets a little more complicated when you're thinking about driving the ball to right field.
In the air to center. Bradley retreats. He'll make the catch. B.J. Upton will tag, and he will score without a play. The Braves do get Greg Walker that 1 run. A sacrifice fly scores Upton. It's 2-1 Braves.
Well done.
So the Braves have their first lead tonight. Here's Simmons. He singled back in the second.
John, I know you guys talk about pitch counts, and sometimes they can be overrated, but it's more about stressful pitches. Right. Boy, he's had a ton of those already.
Yeah, and you know, this is what I've always contended, that now the first 3 innings at about 48 pitches, it can seem like 60, 65. And where I don't understand why the arbitrary numbers ever come up is somebody came up with it and everybody's copied it. Nobody has their own guts to determine what their own pitch count should be for individual pitchers. Because you could throw 130 straight fastballs if you didn't care about your results, and it wouldn't be that taxing. But when you have bases loaded, first and third, and you're trying to paint the corner, trying to, you know, get out of jams, it's taxing and has more of an effect, an accumulative effect. It doesn't seem to go into
what does go into the calculation is a 35-40 pitch inning. Everyone realizes, okay, you're out there that long. There's only about 2 more innings left, or an inning, or depending on where that happens in the game.
John Lester didn't like the fact that Bob Davidson called time that late.
You do that to a pitcher once, he can kind of look past it, but that's the second time that's happened tonight. I don't remember who the hitter was earlier tonight for the Braves that did that. It's rare to get time called that late.
And it just drives me crazy, even though we have technology at the stadiums that let everybody know how fast the pitch was, how many pitch. You find pitchers looking at that pitch count and going, oh, shoot, how am I going to get 2 more innings in? It should never be a factor. But that's the world we live in now, and we're afraid everyone's going to break. But nobody has the opportunity to learn how to pitch with what they have in that given night.
1-2. Missed inside, even count.
I can honestly say I never went into a game thinking about how many pitches I had to throw that particular game. The game always took care of itself. If you're cruising and you're throwing good and you're showing no signs of being tired, you never came out. But if you weren't, you were struggling, and you start running the risk of getting out, pitching tired or mechanically struggling.
Little chopper. Holt charges and can't make a play. It's an infield hit for Simmons. John Lester just pondering his fate. Made a good pitch, but the Red Sox couldn't throw out Simmons.
He made a good pitch to Justin Upton that was bounced over his head.
Good time for the pitching coach to come out, because you can tell some frustration going on. Things usually work out and even out. You hate that they do, but he got out of some jams, and every once in a while you're going to get a play like this or a ball down the line where they score a run. The game's just 2-1. With 7 hits given up, he's done a marvelous job. You just got to stay right there, and the pitching coach is going to come out and just remind him, hey, no big deal.
So here we are in that 2-out runners in scoring position situation you all were talking about a moment ago. The Braves, since May the 5th, have put 39 points on their average in this situation.
And see, that to me defines a season, Joe. I think you get enough 2-out hits. You can't live by it, but you get enough of them. Those are backbreakers. Those really help your team and the momentum of that's a huge hit, a huge run.
Bonus runs. They're extras.
And as we've told you, Laird's had a big hand in that on this homestand. Already a hit tonight. He's up for the 2nd time here in the 3rd inning.
As many mistakes as he's made with his cutter or slider to the outside part of the plate to the right-handers, I think early in the count I'd be looking away.
See, that's a pitch I would say outside looking in, I would encourage him to throw more than the backdoor cutter. The backdoor cutter is a pitch when a guy's not going after that, or he's not extending the plate. Then you can get him to freeze, and it's really more of a looking pitch than it is a swing and a miss. It's kind of like the front door sinker. Maddox was so good at that, starting it into a left-hander and getting them to freeze. A backdoor cutter has the same approach. It really is not a contact pitch. It's a freeze, caught looking pitch. And unfortunately for some of Lester's today, they've been over the plate.
Yeah, the idea is to get the hitter to give up on it.
Right. Looks like a ball, last second. Oop, got it. Strike.
That was tipped and caught by David Ross, and that'll retire the side. The Braves take the lead. B.J. Upton scores after a leadoff double. 2-1 now Atlanta. We go to the 4th inning. John said he's minimized the damage. Only a 2-1 Boston deficit as they go to work in the 4th inning of play.
It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag Southland Photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by AT&T. That's fan photo, by the way, not Fran.
John Lester with that shot of him. He lives here now.
Yes,
Sharpsburg,
he does.
just south of town.
Moved up.
Did he?
Moved up to Buckhead area, I believe. He just came up north.
Oh, did he?
Yep. Trying to get him to move up to Alpharetta. Had a place all set for him, but he had already purchased something.
It'd be kind of nice for him to move into the Braves clubhouse for years too.
Yeah, there's a possibility. You never know.
Yeah, he's a free agent as Johnny Gomes lands to short. And 1 pitch, 1 out for Aaron Harang in the 4th inning. That's a big subject for the fans in Boston. Lester was apparently offered a team-friendly 4-year contract that was worth an awful lot of money, supposedly. Ken Rosenthal said it was $70 to $80 million. Lester apparently has turned that down, and so the question is, to whom do you compare John Lester on the free agent market with the contracts that have been signed by big league pitchers in the last couple of years?
The only guy that I would compare him to, and slightly compare him to, from the makeup and what they can do for a ball club in front of that rotation, is Scherzer. Scherzer won the Cy Young. He's obviously ironed out his mechanics. He looks durable. He's a strikeout, swing and miss guy. And of course, he turned down a monster contract for the Tigers. The problem with the industry, it only takes a couple bad contracts that are signed by pitchers who don't quite add up. And it makes this guy like Lester, why would you? He's going to give the Red Sox a discount, but that was a much bigger discount than I think he was willing to give for that hometown discount.
There was an article in the Hartford Courant about this very subject, talking about John Lester, and one of the contracts that was cited as being a not so great contract is the one signed by Homer Bailey of the Reds. He got a 6-year $105 million deal. And the writer of that article suggested maybe the most comparable guy would be Adam Wainwright, who signed a team-friendly deal with the Cardinals and whose numbers are very similar to John Lester's.
Yeah, John is 30 years old, and you see these comparisons. And I see your point. American League. The reason I think Scherzer, American League is obviously a little bit more difficult to pitch in with all the lack of pitchers hitting in the lineup. So I mean, I don't begrudge anybody getting their money, but I don't blame Homer Bailey one bit.
There's a shot by Sizemore toward right. Hayward can't get there. He'll play on the running track. Grady on his way to second. The throw is going to be late. And Sizemore has a 1-out double for Boston. He's 2 for 2 tonight.
But I do want to clarify my comments by saying it used to be a day and age where you paid for what you did, not what you were capable or trending to do. And that's really what they did. In Homer Bailey's case, they've locked him up because of the trends that he was getting better. But there was no number or no season that indicated that would warrant that kind of contract. So now only time will tell. But what they've done is boxed themselves off. Johnny Cueto's having an incredible year. He's up soon. What can you do? And you get to a point where you can't keep 3 and 4 guys together anymore on a staff based on what's happened.
Now Sizemore's going to try to steal third. The throw is going to be late. Chris Johnson with a swipe tag, thought he got his man, and this one will draw Freddie Gonzalez from the Braves dugout.
I know Sizemore got a big jump. It took a real good throw from Gerald to even make this close. Look, even the umpires are getting smart now. They set themselves up so the managers can look over their shoulders.
Well, how funny would it be if yeah, he may have got it right. The way it's set up for every, what if the umpire kept getting in the manager's view of trying to see the sign?
Ooh. Oh, that angle looked like the tag was applied to the left shin before the right foot got to the bag. Again, it has to be clear and convincing evidence to overturn the call on the field, which was safe for Sizemore at third base.
But this is where, you know, and again, they're working on this in progress, right? They're really working on trying to get this right. And the thing is, it's taking a little longer each time because you're not getting the certain. You're seeing this pointing down. I really would love to see. That means they're going to challenge it. I would really love to see them give the managers more challenges, but no time. Meaning, you just got to make up your mind. You run out there, challenge. Give them 3 of them.
Throw a sock out there and say, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that high first camera showed that maybe the tag and the foot were exactly the same. I don't know.
The dirt coming up makes it tough. You see the dirt coming up and the pan, and because it's got to be, you know, as you mentioned, inconclusive or definitively out. That right there makes it tough. You got the dirt, the cleats, and the spike of the bag. So we'll see how they go about it.
I thought that last angle showed him to be out. The call on the field is safe at third base. John Tumpane was the man that made the call. Bob Davidson is the crew chief. And now the crowd at the ballpark being shown that low third base angle.
See right there, you can't tell.
Slow motion play on the video scoreboard. So now you get into the semantics of what is exactly clear and convincing.
Well, the easy thing would have been, if he kept the tag on him, he would have been out, but he felt like he had him out right there. That's the one thing that teams are going to have to do, is either keep playing through a play because of replay, or continue the play and make sure that you follow the guy as he slides, just in case they don't get it right. I know coming out of spring training, some teams practice on a bang-bang play at first. The guy's rounding third, continue the play. They may not get it right at first, and you may score a run, or vice versa.
Braves had a play like that earlier this season, John, and Freddie Freeman threw home just in case to get a runner at the plate. Can't see exactly where the foot hit the bag behind Chris's leg there, but that other phantom camera angle looked like they got him. Taking a lot of looks at this in New York.
Again, depending on the angles and the replay that they get will determine yay or nay.
So the call stands. Apparently not enough evidence to overturn the call. The call stands. The Braves lose their challenge, and the tying run at third for Boston on a Sizemore stolen base. Two minutes 35 seconds, the time of review. So now David Ross hits. He bounced out to third. Infield comes in for Atlanta. Red Sox fans starting to make some noise now. And a line drive left center field will get down and tie the game. David Ross singles to left center. His 5th RBI. And Grady Sizemore scores to make it a 2-2 game.
I want to go back to Grady Sizemore before we get to David Ross. Sizemore, they were hoping to catch lightning in a bottle, somehow get back to what he does best, and he just showed you what he used to do: wreak havoc on the bases, hit extra bases, or get extra base hits, steal third, and then set his teammates up for an RBI. If he can somehow gain some of that form back, they will have a little bit of Jacoby Ellsbury back.
Jackie Bradley Jr. flies to center on the first pitch he sees in the 4th inning. And that's out number 2. And John, you talked about the radical change for the Red Sox up the middle for this ball club, coming off the World Championship year last year.
Yeah, and I understand why they didn't re-sign him. Okay, financially there's a responsibility, but they weren't going to be able to replace him. And I think they were trying to find the best 2-man role in Bradley and or Sizemore to see who would win that role. And Sizemore started off really fast, but the catching spot has been an interesting one as well. And now we know about the shortstop, and they're going to re-sign the shortstop to try and shore up the defense in the infield.
So Lester back to a 2-2 game, and Harang paints That's a corner for a strike. Lester struck out to end the Boston second. And a ground ball to short. Off the chest of Simmons. And he'll throw to first in time to retire the side. The Braves challenged a stolen base call at third base. Grady Sizemore was ruled safe, and he scored on a David Ross single here in the fourth inning to tie the game at 2 apiece. Inning. And we invite you to get great seats for a low price with Coca-Cola $15 Tuesdays. Club seats are only $15 every Tuesday home game. Visit Braves.com/specials to get this great deal today. Your next chance for a Coca-Cola Tuesday ticket special will be June 3rd. The Seattle Mariners come to town for a brief 2-game series. The Braves, after this upcoming road trip to Boston and Miami, are home for 2 days, and then we right back out on the road to Arizona for 3 and Colorado for 4. Braves aren't home much at all in the month of June, just 9 home games the entire month. So the Braves back to work with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Tyler Pasternaky, who walked his first time, takes a ball from Lester. 1-0 your count.
This is the inning set up if John Lester is to have an easier inning. You would think this is how the formula would be, 8-9-1, but already starting out 2-0 on the 8th hole hitter. Talk about Seattle coming in, and I'm still shaking my head over the most incredible sign, and Robinson Cano, of course, going over to Seattle. I'm a little surprised with his lack of power. I wonder when it's going to kick in.
Well, and he doesn't have that 299-foot porch in right field anymore either.
2 balls, no strikes for Pasternaky. How many homers?
2.
2 homers for.
He's hitting for average and getting on base.
He's second in the American League behind Victor Martinez with a .332 batting average. Mariners a 500 ball club, 5.5 games behind Oakland. And a hot shot to Pedroia. He goes to a knee to make the play. Mariners out number 1.
I was trying to think of significant superstars in our game that made changes that were going to be night and day changes. I can't really think of too many. Like, you're at Yankee Stadium playing in a Little League field, and you're going to a big, spacious, opposite end of the spectrum coast, Seattle, that doesn't have much protection in their lineup. I thought that numbers-wise, it would drastically impact him more than most people. Now, Albert Pujols becomes the one guy you think of, but a lot of it, I thought, injuries impacted him. It wasn't like going from
similar ballparks.
Yeah.
Well, Pujols has rediscovered the magic. In fact, the Angels are nipping at the heels of the A's. They're 2.5 games back out west. And Albert Pujols has hit 4 homers in the last 8 games for Mike Scioscia's club. They're playing Seattle, I believe, later on tonight. They are. The Mariners host them at Safeco Field.
Chris Young just keeps doing it. I don't know how. It's amazing, but he won last night, I believe.
0-2 pitch. Bounces away from Ross. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
6'11", has the invisible. Credit to him. Great guy. He's overcome a lot. A bunch of surgeries. But he literally, you know, hitters will tell you, like, he's got such a unique way of throwing the ball. They just don't see it. And it's 85 miles an hour.
1-2 pitch.
You know, Jamie Moyer lives out there. He may be working with it.
He could be. But you can understand Jamie Moyer, left-handers. I mean, shoot, if you're breathing left-handed, that's what I used to tell Glavine all the time.
2-2. And fouled away. Well, some great pitching matchups in the bigs tonight. You've got Mark Burley going for his 9th win tonight. He's pitching for Toronto. Chris Sales 4-0 for the White Sox. And Max Scherzer and Sonny Gray are going to hook up. Max Scherzer's 6-1, Sonny Gray 5-1. And Lester continues to be flustered by the strike zone.
Turned his back on Davidson that time.
Pitchers usually don't get the benefit of that call when you're batting. Pitchers that batting.
You're right.
And he just walked Harang, and Lester is beside himself. And Bob Davidson just turns his back.
That's unusual. Bob's usually quick to get the mask off and get right back in his face. Unless he felt like he really missed it. Ross made it look a whole lot better than it was. It was down, and Aaron is 6'7".
Yeah.
So the Bo Sox have been barking all night. Remember, David Ortiz in his first at bat of the game had an issue with a strike or two from Bob Davidson. So the pitchers aboard for Atlanta, and Jason Hayward the hitter. And a bouncing ball off the plate. And Ortiz. That is a foul ball. So time for our SunTrust shining moment. Hayward's night began with a bang.
Did it ever. First home run allowed to a left-handed hitter since last July for John Lester. And for Jason Hayward, his 4th homer of the year.
So far, I know it's only been a game and a half, but David Ortiz has not been tested at all at first base. It's been a kind of an easy, so far, adjustment to not playing first base a lot.
It's the same old thing, though, John. It's like moving up in the box on a guy that's soft tossing you. You got to look around and see where some openings might be. I don't think that happens much anymore.
I thought for sure you might see some kind of push bunt or somebody just test the mobility. Hasn't happened yet.
And somebody could, especially with a left-handed pitcher. Harder to cover first.
that pitch and is struck out. Lester's fifth. Harang at first, 2 outs now for B.J. Upton. He doubled inside the bag at third last time up.
BJ's hit the ball hard twice.
He's hit the ball hard this whole homestand.
Yeah, he has. Think Harang could score from first on a double?
I don't think so. But
they're not holding him.
I would like to see it happen.
Yes.
It's going to really depend on the turns he makes.
One ball, no strikes.
I tell you, if he does, Freeman better take his time getting to the box to hit, because he's going to need. That was one of the worst things for a pitcher is you're 2 outs, you know you're going to get a big jump, you score on a double and you're gassed a little bit, you know, and you just go to sit down and you don't hope that you hear the next one pitch out and you got to come back out on the mound. You need your next hitter to take care of you a little bit. That's when working the count is huge.
Three balls, no strikes.
I think John Lester's let a lot of this get to him tonight. The fact that he hadn't gotten a couple of calls. He's got a tie ball game, and he is still really wrestling and fighting, not just over missed calls, but with himself too.
These are the type of games you have them all kinds of. You pitch long enough, you're going to have these. You go down and sit down. Man, I can't believe this is 7th inning already. And you look up for 4th. You feel like you're 3 innings ahead because it's just been that big of a grind.
He's had at least one runner in every inning so far tonight. Now a 3-2 pitch coming to B.J. Upton. Wang will get a head start from first. There he goes. And Upton takes a called third strike. And Lester with a long look in at Bob Davidson as if to say, hey, why didn't you call that a little earlier in the inning? Braves leave Harang stranded in the 4th inning. Top of the Red Sox order up in the 5th. We're still tied at 2. Mazda game summary.
Got the guys at the top of the order. Talked about the outfielders and what a good job they've done this whole homestand. And tonight, more of the same. Hayward with a leadoff homer. B.J. Upton with a double. He's scored a run. And Justin's 2 for 2. Grady Sizemore's had a couple of hits for the Red Sox and scored the tying run there in the 4th inning. How about a 1-2-3 inning for Aaron Harang? He's just like Lester. He's had trouble on the bases everywhere the first 4 innings for him, too.
Justin Upton, I'm saying, where are all the left-handers at? He has been crushing left-handers. They just haven't faced that many this year, it seems.
That's it. 2 more hits against Lester for Upton tonight. And now Harang has the top of the Red Sox order. Brock Holt, he has singled, scored, and flied out.
Only the Pirates have fewer plate appearances against lefties than the Braves.
1 ball, 1 strike. To center, and B.J. Upton drifts back, and onto the warning track he goes for out number 1. That's like a Pedroia V2. Brock Holt.
Yeah. From the left side.
So here's Bogaerts. The Boston shortstop has reached on an error, and he has flied out tonight.
I think last year was a perfect example, and again, I'm guessing that he lucked into some pretty good takes in the World Series, meaning he had taken some pitches that, if he had to be honest, I think maybe fooled him, but became like, whoa. Guy's got a great eye. Look at him work the plate, had some key walks. I think over the course of time, we're going to find out if that's true or not, but he faced some pretty dynamic pitchers. Scherzer and Verlander, and even with the Cardinals, Wainwright and Walker.
Cut at that pitch and fouled back. 2 balls and a strike.
Ballpark cam, you can see batting practice. Joey Votto does not even swing at a ball in batting practice. Like, he literally will only swing at what he wants or deems strikes from what I was seeing.
PNC pitching performance, and another one missed by Baltimore. Bob.
Now a full count. That's out of play. Xander Bogaerts is the twin brother of former Red Sox minor league first baseman Jair Bogaerts. He was the player to be named later sent to the Cubs to complete the compensation for Theo Epstein joining the Cubs as the team's president of baseball operations. The oddity of that is the Braves have a man who was traded with John Farrell, David Carpenter.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I didn't ask you guys this yesterday. Intrigued, question Manny Ramirez in the Cubs organization as a quote-unquote player coach.
Swing and miss gets Bogaerts. There's the second out.
Because I'm really confused, and maybe I'm missing something. But the fact that if he gets to the big leagues, the quote was, it'll be with some other organization that needs a hitter. But for the time being, he's going to instruct and help the minor leagues and play a little bit. I don't get that.
So they signed him as a trade,
I guess.
Piece, I guess.
I mean, to help, and then if he gets hot and somebody wants him, he's 41, I guess. I don't. That part I don't get. That's
a scratch on my head.
Talking to some of the Red Sox people, they will be honoring the 04 Red Sox club at Fenway Park later this week as Pedroia tries to split the gap. Hayward cuts it off, but not before Dustin stands at second with 2 out. Big night for Pedroia, 2 hits and an RBI.
Watch how he waits on this breaking pitch and just takes it the other way. It's almost like he's collapsing as the pitch is coming, but he had the outside part covered and he actually hit it right on the sweet spot the other way. Boy, is he a tough out.
Braves won't pitch to David Ortiz here. He'll take the bat out of his hands and intentionally walk him. And go after Johnny Gomes. But Joe Castiglione, longtime voice of the Red Sox, was talking to us yesterday. He said he spoke with Pedro Martinez, and he said Pedro told him that Manny's a different guy. He's really straightened his life out apparently, and the bad Manny that was so evident in his final days with Boston is no longer there. He apparently be in Boston to participate in festivities and has an interest in teaching his hitting wisdom to some of these Cubs minor leaguers.
I mean, I get that part.
Yeah, because he's one of the best right-handed hitters of this generation.
But I don't get the playing part.
Yeah, he's just taking somebody's roster spot.
That's the part I don't get.
Well, Theo said he will not come and play Major League Ball with the Cubs. He will fill in at AAA and coach. All I can say with that, guys, it's the Cubs. They do things very differently there.
Ex-player here, Julio Franco, is doing that in an independent team, 50-some years old, and got a hit in his first game, I guess.
Well, let's see if Harang can take care of Gomes here. He's 0 for 2. 2 on, 2 out. Tie game, 2-2 in the 5th. Good start. With 2 outs, Pedroia double. Braves walked Ortiz intentionally.
That's what Harang does so well. That's 89 miles an hour, but because his change of speeds, it seems like 95 miles an hour.
It does. He's really good with it and where he picks his spots for it, too.
And Gomes couldn't check his swing, and he is struck out. Aaron Harang pitched around David Ortiz, got the big strikeout, and the Red Sox strand a pair in the 5th. Freddie Freeman leads things off for Atlanta. The ball game continues at Turner Field. We're still tied at 2.
the inning, and Freeman with a couple of strikeouts already in this game. And it's interesting that while the Braves as a team have improved as runners in scoring position, they've done it without Freddie Freeman. He's kind of struggled the last few games, both with runners in scoring position and without. Not what you've come to expect from Freddie Freeman. You can see some of his numbers not what he usually puts up. And Freddie was talking to me before the game. I asked him if maybe he felt people were pitching him differently or if he had to change anything. And the answers were pretty simple, guys. He said, nope, feel pretty good what I'm doing. Pretty sure it'll turn around. Hope it happens tonight.
This would be a good spot for it, Jen. You see what he's done his last 8 times up. His last 8 games, I should say, and he's 0 for 2 tonight with a couple of strikeouts.
Have 6 for 28 on the homestand.
$80 pitches for Lester. He does not have a 1-2-3 inning tonight.
Well, things don't always translate from season to season, and what I mean is the Cardinals had a historic year last year. It seemed like every player that had runners in scoring position, they delivered a hit. I'm pretty sure those numbers aren't the same this year. As it's almost impossible to keep up the high average that Freddie had, because it does balance. It does go peaks and valleys.
He's been behind Lester tonight. He was behind on the 0-1 pitch that he swung and missed on, and late on that one. I know this on the 0-2 count, he was trying to just inside out something to protect the plate a little bit. But he's been a little tardy.
Well, first and foremost, John Lester has the utmost respect, as anyone would, facing Freddie Freeman. So he's gotten his best out of Lester, whereas the couple of the other hitters, Lester hasn't been as good, but he hasn't really made a bad pitch to Freeman yet.
Well, not to mention David Ross is probably back there carrying on a ongoing conversation with him to distract him the best he can.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Justin Upton's on deck.
It's funny the mind games you can play right around that area between the batter's box, the catcher, the conversations that you can have and that sometimes you don't want to hear.
In the air, right center field. That's going to roll for a while. Freeman on his way to second. He's around second. He's on his way to third. He's going to make it on a slide. It's a triple for Freeman. That was a big league at bat, folks. 9 pitches.
And he wasn't tardy on that fastball. Looked like it was up, too. He leveled off on it. Got the foot down early. Great swing. Now watch him go. I mean, usually it's just turn him loose. What are you saying, Chip? It took him 15 seconds. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, just about. Actually, his 5th triple.
Oh.
In his major league career for Freeman. Here's Upton. Infield creeps in for Boston. If Dad were here, he would have said, "No, that was the most exciting 2 minutes in sports."
No better guy to have at the plate right now than Justin Upton, the way he's wearing out lefties, and he's also hitting great at home.
And he'll take a 10-game hit streak to Boston. And a chopper foul at third. 1-1.
And again, I mentioned it earlier about the curveball. The curveball is such a big pitch, I think, because he doesn't have anything other than hard, hard, hard. And it gives the hitter an opportunity to slow it down, and then hard becomes harder. And that pitch right there, that curveball, we haven't seen but maybe 4 of them in the whole game, serves that purpose.
Whoa, that one almost through the webbing of David Ross.
That was a snow cone, wasn't it? Pretty shot of the field.
You can understand the care with which Lester's working here. Chris Johnson's on deck.
So far, I've got John Lester winning 2 rounds with Harang winning 3 rounds in this prize fight.
Well, they're both cut.
And low, Upton's at first. First and third, nobody out.
That was not an unexpected walk, his 3rd of the night. Again, as hot as Justin is, they know that. No easy task here because Chris has already launched a sacrifice fly once tonight. But there's also that opportunity for a double play ball to get out of the inning quicker, having allowed just 1 run, at least cut into what would be a potential big inning.
The way Chris swings the bat, you either got to pound him in or pitch him way away, because he stays inside long enough to drive the ball up the middle.
Time called. David Ross out for a chat.
It's amazing watching certain hitters in as good a year as he had last year. It all seemed like it just seemed like the swing was slow but always in contact and battling for a batting championship. And then when it doesn't, you can speak to him swinging over the top of it.
Well, his bat was in the zone so long last year, inside out. It stayed on plane and was in the zone so long that it didn't matter if the pitch was in, middle, or away. His bat was on plane to hit it. This year he's kind of gone a little more uppercut and out around a lot of pitches when he has struggled.
One ball, no strikes.
Anywhere but third base.
Shallow right. Gomes coming on. Can't get there. A run's going to score. Upton's going to be forced out at second base. No man's land for the Boston defense, but no man's land as well for Justin Upton. However, a bloop to right brings home the go-ahead run. Freddie Freeman scores to make it a 3-2 score.
Yeah, Upton had no chance right here. That ball, you see the swing, big swing, but small results. The last thing you want to do is get doubled off. You know you're going to score a run, so you would trade it out, even though the hitter's not rewarded with a hit. You'll trade that for a run.
Yeah, it goes as a fielder's choice.
What a 2 RBI night for Chris, who stands at first. 3-2 Atlanta. Anderson Simmons 2 for 2. 3 runs on 8 Braves hits. Peyton Hop has begun to loosen for Boston. Lester has labored 95 high-stress pitches tonight.
Location has not been one of his better games tonight. Catcher sets up away. He isn't able to make it look close enough to the plate. pulled a couple pitches off the plate. He's battling.
To Pedroia. Oh, what a play. Bogarts across the bag, and somehow Boston started and finished an amazing double play.
Wow. Atlanta takes the lead after the Freeman triple. Chris Johnson's force play makes it 3-2 Atlanta.
For game 2 of this series with the Red Sox, and fans for a limited time buy $150 or more on women's apparel or products at the Braves Clubhouse store and get a free Alex and Annie bracelet while supplies last. For more details, stop by the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center or call 404-523-5854.
Start this inning in a good way by keeping Grady Sizemore off the bases.
He's 2 for 2. Might recall he also stole third base in the 4th inning after a 1-out double. Braves challenged that call at third base. The call on the field was confirmed. And the Braves lost their replay challenge, and then David Ross brought him home with a hit. Now he strokes one towards center, and Upton's there. And BJ makes the play for out number 1.
Grady Sizemore was recruited by the University of Washington to play football and baseball, but he was also recruited by Arizona State, California, Washington State, and Clemson. Hey.
She was recruited 47 years ago. Here's David Ross. Ross an RBI hit. Braves are very happy with their catching trio of Gaddis, Laird, and Ryan Domit. I think everybody in Braves country is thrilled for David Ross that he ended up in Boston and won a World Series last year.
Yeah, other than the concussion issue, he did a nice job over there filling in, handling the staffs.
He was a good. He and Saltalamacchia were a good complement to one another.
Yep.
Didn't realize this till I read it in the media guide for the Red Sox. Over the last 5 years, David Ross leads the majors in catcher's ERA.
I believe it. He's having a little contact lens issue tonight.
That one in there for a strike call. 2-2.
Good receiver, calls a good game, and does a good job handling base stealers. Always a good catch and throw guy.
Nailed 37% of those over the last 9 years. Bet you can guess who's first. David Ross was second in that category.
Yes, I can guess. And yes, I know.
Yadier Molina of Cardinals. Full count pitch for David Ross. Base is empty for Aaron Harang. And a big strikeout for Harang. Ross is down. That's 6. 2 out.
Just a fastball that gets away over the middle of the plate. Not every good pitch ends in a good result, and not every bad pitch ends in a bad result. That was the not so good pitch with a good result.
Here's Jackie Bradley Jr. hitting $190. There were some published reports in Boston today that were speculating that the Red Sox might be looking to upgrade in center field. Bradley's just a kid. Ground ball. Pasternicki can't get that. He slid and the ball skipped under his glove. And Bradley's aboard with 2 outs.
It's the second time tonight he's had that happen. Happened with the leadoff hitter. This time he went to a slide and actually looked like the ball, like the glove went past where the ball went through.
This is one Harang should have had. This ball just gets right under the glove of Harang, and of course under the glove of Pasternicki.
That's a hit to Bradley, and Lester will continue on for Boston here. He's 0 for 2. And strike.
We talk about defensively all the time about keeping your glove down. It's a lot easier to come up than it is to go down, and that was a case and a good example of that, because Tyler had his glove up where he thought the ball was going to bounce, and then when it didn't come up as high, then he kind of had to make a stab down at it without any luck.
A little low to Lester.
I don't know, John. You had the rounds going to Harang at this point, but they may have to stop it on a headbutt.
It's been,
and it'll be my headbutt on the table.
3 balls and a strike.
I'd be awfully tempted, because you don't think it's going to happen, to actually have Bradley steal a base. This is Lester's last inning, and even if they were to throw him out, they're going to pitch hit for him next inning anyways.
Good call. Like that.
He's going. And the pitch is strike. The throw, short hops, and Simmons late to cover the bag. So Bradley steals second base. It's a full count for John Lester now.
It took a great play by Anderton to save that throw from going into center field, because he was late.
Strikeout of Lester. Harang has 7 of those in the game. Bottom of the order up for the Braves in the 6th. Atlanta leads Boston 3-2. beautiful night in Atlanta. The Braves lead the Red Sox 3-2 in the bottom half of our 6th inning. And as always, it's trivia time. Our trivia question presented by our friends at AT&T Universe. Over the last decade, David Ortiz, 9 All-Star selections are the most in the American League. Who has the most National League All-Star selections since 2004?
Does that mean that Derek Jeter was not selected in 1 year? Well, I guess it would be last year, huh?
Yep.
Because he was hurt. Okay, National League since 04.
Gerald Laird leads off for the Braves, trying to add to a 3-2 lead. This could be a trick question because it could have been a player who is in the National League and is now in the American League.
That's where my first guess went, Chip.
Right?
I'm going.
You're thinking Pujols?
No.
No?
I'm going Brian McCann. I'm trying to remember. It was 05 his first year?
Yeah, I don't think he's been around long enough.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
Swing and a miss by Laird. 2 balls and a strike.
I'll change my pick. That wasn't official.
Brandon Phillips.
Good guess.
David Wright. I'm kind of liking David Wright.
Yep, it's a real good call. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. Yadier Molina.
Ooh, good one.
Fly foul. You know, if we just name the roster of every National League team, we'll get partial credit.
Every 9-year veteran. Congratulations, young lady.
Two and two. Lester back to work.
I have to ask you, John, because working for the MLB Network, you get to see the Red Sox more often than we do. But do all their pitchers pitch like this? Do they go to 3-ball counts and 2-2 counts on every guy that comes up there, kind of like their hitters working the count?
No, that's kind of why they're struggling. What we saw from Buchholz, I'm sure he'll be looked at to go on the DL. John Lackey last year was really good, and he got results quicker. He had a really good year. His record didn't reflect it. John Lester, once his mechanics come into play, he's really good. He pounds strikes.
Tyler Pasternak, the hitter, he's walked and grounded out.
Felix Dubron, no, he does. He can have trouble with the command and get in that walking mode and missing the strike zone. But you got to remember, it's a different ballpark over there, and you have to pitch differently. That wall has a huge impact on how you pitch and how many different pitches you've got to actually go to try and get them to not hit it, play pepper off that wall.
Especially left-hander.
But we talked about in the open, I talked about if his cutter is on, it's going to be a long game for the Braves. His cutter has not been on. And it's been a really long game for John Lester. He's battled his butt off just to get to a 3-2 deficit. A lot of guys would love to just give up 3 runs.
A chopper over the mound. Bogarts charges. Bare hand put in a beauty. Wow. That's back-to-back innings for the Boston defense that have been really terrific efforts.
Zaxby's indescribably good play. That's a play made a lot like a guy from Curacao who plays for the Braves, only Bogarts is from Aruba. Do you know what the ABC Islands are? Aruba, Curacao. Do you know what the B Island is, John?
No.
I thought it was coming to you there.
It was. I mean, Bahamas, but I don't think that's what it is.
Bonaire.
Yeah, was close.
That's what you about to say.
Samsonite, Swanson.
Here's Ramiro Pena for Aaron Harang, who went 6 innings tonight for the Braves.
Aaron's a little miffed over there, I'm sure, because he drew a walk his last time up, and it was his 4th walk in his career and the first one since 2009. So just when he had his eye working.
So continuing with the Dumb and Dumber references. So you're saying there's not a chance?
Yeah.
No balls, 2 strikes. Ramiro Pena, and a chopper to short. Bogarts, and a perfect throw. 3 up, 3 down. That's the first perfect inning for John Lester in the ballgame. Amazing. We head to the 7th.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by your Atlanta area Mazda dealers.
Here we go, 7th inning. A couple of changes for the Braves on this lovely night to teach the tomahawk chop. Ramiro Pena checks in for Tyler Pasternicki. He'll play second base the rest of the way. And in relief of Aaron Harang is right-hander Anthony Varvaro, who's been spectacular.
Really has. His fastball command has just gotten better. It's a firm fastball, electric, 95 miles an hour and up at times.
Anthony pitched a couple of scoreless innings against the Rockies last time out. And he's got the top of the Boston order here in the 7th. Holt, Bogarts, and Pedroia.
That's how on fire he has been.
14 strikeouts. He has struck out. This is a great stat on him.
Pena's first chance is handled cleanly. 1 out.
Before that hitter, Anthony had struck out 23 of the 66 batters he's faced this year. That's 35%. It's pretty salty.
And boy, the Braves bullpen this month has done great work too. There's some hiccups along the way in March and April. But in May, the Braves penned 5-2, a 2.06 earned run average, 68 strikeouts in 70 innings. Now Bogaerts bats with 1 out. And a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Hope you enjoyed a story we had on Anthony earlier on this homestand. Anthony is a yoga practitioner. I mean, he has a very detailed yoga routine that takes him an hour and a half, 2 hours a day to get through. As Bogaerts strokes a single to left, and he's aboard in front of Pedroia with 1 out.
Elevated that fastball. That's why Bogaerts was able to rip it.
Right over the middle of the plate. So you're saying he's copied a lot of what Greg Maddux did back in the day.
Yes. And I'm thinking it might help you in terms of calf cramps too.
I don't think there's a lot that's going to help me. Yoga's definitely not one of those things that this body was made to do.
Here's Pedroia, and he takes a strike.
Those who know me, even if the body was able to do it, the patients will not allow me to do it.
But just think of the fun your friends would have. Say, hey, look at this. Well, the fans have really enjoyed this series, haven't they? Great atmosphere at the ballpark. And a shot to right off Pedroia's bat. That'll drop in cleanly. Hayward gets to it very effectively. And Boston has 2 on, 1 out. And David Ortiz coming up. 3-hit night for Pedroia.
Pedroia came in scuffling too. He was not having a good road trip, but he's made up for it. Base hit last night, 3 hits and a sac fly tonight.
And that's the end of the line for Anthony Vivaro. A third of an inning, a couple of hits. David Ortiz coming up. We'll be right back. Run here in the 7th inning. All year long, Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price every day. Saturday, it's a full day of MLB action, beginning with Braves taking on the Marlins on Fox Sports 1. Then it's baseball night in America on Fox as the Rays battle the Red Sox, or the Pirates take on the Dodgers. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and continues at 7 Eastern on Fox. Luis Avilan to face David Ortiz.
Cut down on walks a little bit. Another live arm. Last year was a pretty incredible year for him out of the pen, I thought, coming in. Getting the job done this year, a little rocky at times, but
he was up ready to pitch against Ortiz yesterday. Did not get into the game, and Ortiz hit the homer off Santana.
And downstairs for Ortiz, 1 ball, no strikes.
That was a pretty good pitch.
I hate making that first pitch to a guy thinking he might be ready to swing, and he's taking the whole way. Opposite field, that ball's trouble. It's going to get down in front of Upton, and that's going to score Bogarts to tie the game at 3. David Ortiz fought one off, and he drives home his 30th run. It's a 3-3 score. Well, the last 2 hits are not hits that you don't think are going to be hits. He didn't hit it very good. He didn't react as if, oh, well, maybe, yep, it's going to be a hit. But that's the way they, both Pedroia and him found ways to go the other way and get hits.
3 straight Boston singles in the 7th. It's a 3-3 game now for Johnny Gomes. Gomes is hitless tonight.
Two balls, no strikes.
Over 37,000 here tonight. A lot of them are Red Sox fans. That Braves fans are having a little harder time drowning out tonight.
Got that one over, 2-1.
Boy, I don't know what Gomes was looking for there. But it wasn't a fastball down the middle. 2-0 count.
Now it's 2-2.
One of the things that's helped Luis, John, in his last half dozen outings or so is his velocity's back. His velocity had really dropped into the low 90s, and I'm not talking about 91, but 92 or so on a consistent basis. That last pitch was 95.
Yeah, the last 2 were 95 down and with some movement.
Hammer down the left field line and foul.
Got away with a bad change up there.
Not so sure I like that pitch after really beating him on fastballs. One taken, one fall off to the right side.
Sped up his bat, didn't he?
Yep.
Popped behind first. Long run Freeman. That ball is a fair ball. And the Red Sox will have the bases loaded. 2 blue hits off Avilan here in the 7th.
Great effort by Freddie here. Running away from home plate. His back to the baseball to try to flag this one down, and then the presence of mind by all three players out there to get the ball and get it in quick. Hayward's the guy that wound up with it to make sure that Pedroia didn't come around to score.
When that ball was hit, that ball had slice to it, and you could see it at the last minute came back in fair territory, and even Freddie was looking for it to slice in his first reaction, had to turn back into fair territory and couldn't make that play. Real difficult play for first base.
4 straight Boston singles after Holt grounded out to second to start the inning. And now Grady Sizemore hits with the bases loaded. He's 2 for 3 with a double and a run scored. Pedroia, Ortiz, and Gomes, the Boston base runners. Broken back. Avilan couldn't get it. Simmons with a bare hand fires to first in time for the out. But Pedroia comes home to give Boston the lead.
Not so sure that bat didn't have an impact on Avilan when this ball was hit. You see the bat, and he's getting out of the way of the bat, and unfortunately couldn't do both. Field the grounder and get out of the way of the bat. This is one of the most unbelievable innings when you look at the hits that were hit and how the Red Sox take the lead. It is a crazy game.
I agree with you 100%. That bat had to influence his desire to go after the baseball because he couldn't tell where the barrel was going, and it actually went between his legs. What a crazy inning.
2 bloops and a broken bat grounder gives Boston a 4-3 7th inning lead. The 2 runs that are tallied so far belong to Anthony Favaro. Braves will now walk David Ross, and Jackie Bradley Jr., the 8th place hitter, is scheduled to hit next.
And what's more unbelievable, as this prize fight comes to a conclusion, John Lester is in line for the win.
Yes, he is.
Which would have been one of the ugliest fights ever recorded. It was just a battle, and he battled. Both of the guys battled. You know, that's what you got to have. And as frustrating as the game was for John, and as many runs as he could have given up, he gets rewarded in this inning, although be it 3 bloops and a broken bat. And Aaron Harang's going to have to deal with the no decision.
Bradley singled last time up. And that's downstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. We have had 1, 2, 3 half inning in this game. That was in the Braves' 6th. And scorched foul to the left. 1 ball, 1 strike.
By the way, what was lost in that play was another great play by Simmons. He had to change his route and barehand that ball to at least get the out.
Pass Johnson into left field. Ortiz scores. Here comes Gomes around. He's going to score. The throw to second is off target. Jackie Bradley Jr. with a big hit for the Red Sox.
They walked Ross to get to Bradley because he's only hitting a .170 against left-handed pitching, but he got a fastball down the middle. Mistakes in location this inning, plus the bloops, have really hurt the Braves.
So Anthony Favaro and Luis Avilan have had a rough 7th inning. Boston has scored 4 times. They lead by 3.
Georgia Power, the Home Depot, and Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
Well, a shocking turnaround in tonight's ball game. The Red Sox have sent 8 men to the plate. They got to a Braves bullpen that has been spectacular this month. A couple of runs off of Varro, a couple of runs so far off Luis Avilan, and now David Hale will try to clean up a 2-out mess and send this game to the 7th inning stretch.
Yeah, but as John said, I mean, think about some of the hits in this inning. 5 in all, only a couple really hit sharply. The one by Bradley, and then to get it started, the one by Bogaerts that were both mistake pitches, but everything else is tough to accept.
So Mike Carp will be the Boston pinch hitter. He bats for John Lester here in the 7th. 6-3 Red Sox now. And Hale misses outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
5-run inning yesterday, and now a 4-run inning at least tonight. How about this, John? You were talking about how Lester's in line for the win. Here's one of your favorite subjects. How about after watching him pitch tonight, it'll go in the books as a quality start?
Yeah, I mean, 6 innings, 3 runs or less is what's been established for a quality start, and he's had a lot of them this year. But as the Red Sox have struggled, and of course coming off of Buchholz not lasting very long, every inning he gave them past the 4th was going to be huge, and it looked like 87 or so pitches after 4, maybe gets 5, and he might go back out for another inning. Not anymore.
1-2 for Carp, and that hit him. So David Hale plunks Mike Carp, and Boston has him loaded again.
But because last inning was so quick in the American League, he might have gone out and gave him 1 more inning based on the fact that their bullpen is a little exhausted. Hit pitch right there. Hit batter.
Mike Carp would just as soon have been an American League game, then he would have been hit by the pitch.
So Brock Holt bats. He had a 1st inning single and scored a 1st inning Boston run. He is 0 for 3 since, and 1 for 4 in total tonight. Bouncing ball to second. Pena's got it, and the throw to first is in time. The Braves were blooped and broken, batted to death in the 7th inning. Boston scored 4 times to take a 3-run lead.
The Georgia Lottery, Toyota, and AT&T.
Back in Atlanta for the home seventh. Top of the order coming up for the Braves. Let's take a look at our Georgia Power game summary.
Neither one of the starting pitchers is still in the game. Aaron Harang left with the lead. John Lester leaves with the lead now. Dustin Pedroia and Jackie Bradley Jr. with some big hits there in the 4-run 7th inning. Pedroia having a big night and a sac fly into his 3-for-3 night as well.
So it's Craig Breslow on for the 17th time. Lester went 6, 8 hits, 3 runs.
Craig was a huge draw of the bullpen last year. Pitched some big innings down the stretch. Started on the DL this season. Off to a little bit of a slow start. See the walks to K's a little high. There's another guy that cuts it, moves it, spins it, takes a little on, puts a little, takes a little off, puts a little on.
Yeah, but you can get it up there 90-91, pretty regular.
His first to Hayward, missed inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Didn't he go to a smart school?
He did indeed. Yale University.
Greg's a charitable fellow. He founded the Strike 3 Foundation to highlight awareness, mobilize support, and raise funding for childhood cancer research. They've pledged over $500,000 to Yale's University Children's Hospital. And that is the only pediatric bone marrow transplant program in Connecticut.
Well, he was not a slouch in the classroom either himself. I think molecular biology or something pretty like that.
Yep, molecular biophysics and biochemistry, all Ivy honors as a junior. The Wall Street Journal said he was the smartest man in baseball in 2009. Present company not included, of course.
I think it's a front.
Good thing we weren't in the league.
I think it's a front.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Sure, he can do crosswords.
He can say Stratomatic too.
Yeah, that too. Used to drive everybody crazy by doing the crosswords. Just ask me one. I'm good for one. Ask me anything. And I surprised them by getting one that they berated me. Absolutely berated me. And I ended up being right, and I never did another one again.
You'd say being right once out of how long did you play?
But that wasn't the point, Joe.
Of course not. Popped up center of the diamond. Bogarts takes charge. And he takes care of Jason Hayward for out number 1 here in the 7th.
It was a name of a Mexican restaurant. The letters just didn't make sense to anybody. The common smart guy couldn't get it. But I said Taxco, and they said, no, we didn't mean a gas station. We said a restaurant. I said, no, it's Taxco. And I ended up being right. And the rest was history. I never messed with 1 for 50 ever again.
Strike 1 for B.J. Upton. B.J. 1 for 3 tonight. He doubled in the 3rd, scored the 2nd Braves run. 7 hits in his last 22 at bats. And 0-2.
78-mile-an-hour changeup. Baseball coach at Yale, at least as far as I know, is still there, is former St. Louis Cardinal pitcher John Stuper, which always struck me kind of funny, that last name, being the head coach at Yale.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
He would be on the all bad pitcher name team. Bob Walk, Brent Balfour. That's the all bad name pitchers team. Names that don't
Homer
work.
Bailey.
Homer Bailey.
On ball, 2 strikes. Base is empty for B.J. Upton. And a cue shot out toward Pedroia. And he'll make the play the first. Goes out number 2.
That's very frustrating and bad for B.J. He was on his fastball, fouled back a couple of them, and then the changeup comes, and it still looks like a fastball coming out of his hand at first. 77 miles an hour, he hits it off the end of the bat.
Freddie hit a gapper in the 5th. His first triple of the year, 5th in his big league career. And now a liner out of reach of Pedroia into right field. So Freddie 2 for 4. Justin Upton is scheduled to hit next. Junichi Tozawa is up and throwing in the Boston bullpen, and he's going to come in to face the Braves left fielder. So Breslow goes 2/3 of an inning with a hit allowed, no walks, no strikeouts. Upton versus Tozawa. Boston 6, Atlanta 3, home 7. We will make our way to the hub after the ball game tonight. A 2-game set with the Red Sox at historic Fenway Park. Always a treat to go there, and then we'll find ourselves in Miami for the weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A 3-game set under the roof of the Starship Enterprise known as Marlins Park. That is your Delta Airlines on deck for the week ahead. The next 5 games for the Braves.
Marlins 28-8 at home, and remember they swept the Braves on Atlanta's first trip down there. Have you been to that ballpark, John?
I have. I did a World Baseball Classic game or 2 there.
What were your impressions?
Very colorful. Thought maybe that could have been changed a little bit, but you know, overall it's a big park. Pitcher paradise
there. Yeah.
There's Junichi Tozawa. Tozawa pitched in the 7th inning yesterday. Got the bottom of the Braves batting order in order. 1, 2, 3. Now he'll try to tame Justin Upton, who's got 2 hits and a walk tonight. Braves are down 3. We're in the 7th.
We talked like last night about this guy's deception because of the way he jumps at you, but he also throws hard. Fastball in the low to mid 90s.
That pitch at 94, but off the plate.
Of course, with the runner on, you won't see that deception or that pause as you would if no one was on.
Tozawa will turn 28 on June the 6th. He's from Yokohama, Japan. This is his 6th year of the Red Sox organization. Didn't pitch in 2010. He had Tommy John surgery.
He better be careful with all the twitching he does once he comes set, or as he's coming set, because Balkaday Bob Davidson will nail him. Set. Set.
How much leeway do you get, John?
Well, as long as you're repeating it over and over again the same way, you're not going to get called for anything, as we've seen the way Walden pitches for the Braves. When he doesn't come in contact with the rubber, he does it the same every single time. So
yes, for most umpires that would be true.
Hot shot. Pedroia can't get that. Man, a lot of things in play on that. Rocket up the middle, the mound, the umpire, and the speed of the ball off the bat.
That ball was smoked. I mean, for it to hit the mound, kind of kick it back to Pedroia a little bit, and he still couldn't get leather on it. Tells you how hard it was hit. 3 hits for Justin tonight on the wall.
sure does love hitting here.
So the Braves bring the potential tying run to the plate. Chris Johnson's the batter. Chris with a 2 RBI game. One ball, no strikes. Taken low.
Edgerton Simmons is due up next at his bat, but now it's in the bat rack and he's taking his gloves off.
And the Braves already took down Tyler Pasternak. They have Dan Egla available.
Let's go out there and get a base hit. Come back.
And a 2-0 pitch is skied toward right. Gomes on the run near the line is going to get there in foul ground, and that'll retire the side. The Braves threatened but failed to score in the 7th. We go to the 8th. assistant athletic trainer Jim Lovell, but you never like to see the trainers talk to the manager. Andrelton Simmons is out of this game.
We don't know if it was on this play. That's the most recent play that he was stressed to make in the ball game, but he's out of the game. Pena will move to short. Ugla at second.
Yeah, it was definitely something significant enough that he was not going to bat. You could see they were waiting for Ugla to come up.
So the Braves lost Evan Gattis, you'll recall, before the game. He sprained or strained a wrist in batting practice. Simmons unable to finish the game tonight at shortstop. And David Hale to face Xander Bogaerts to start the Boston eighth. 6-3 Red Sox.
And a strained wrist is nothing to mess with. If you try to come back too fast, depending on the severity, but if you think it's okay and then the first check swing, it can be an ongoing problem if you don't get it right.
We saw Evan earlier in the ball game sitting in the Braves dugout with the, well, there you see it, the right wrist.
Yeah,
with a wrap of some sort.
Yeah, he didn't just come from bowling, I can tell you that. That's precaution to make sure that you don't extend or do anything to strain what already has been injured. It's not like that guy doesn't take a healthy rip already. So
right.
You know that everything he does has lumberjack written all over it. They're hoping that that's not a lingering or long injury.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Bogaerts. There you go. Nope. It's 2-2. Braves began play tonight a couple of games ahead of Miami in the East. Marlins were to have played Washington tonight, but that game was rained out.
I hope you brought a sweater, Chip, because it's supposed to be chilly in Boston the next 2 nights.
Really?
40s.
Oh my.
You going to come up and see us?
I was thinking about it till you said 40s.
I'll buy you some chowder.
Now that I could eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Popped up. Shallow left center. Justin Upton got a good jump. He's there, and there's out number 1. You did place a short period of time with the Red Sox. To pitch in that ballpark, to spend some time with that organization, had to be a professional thrill too.
It was an experience, but I'll tell you, that year, and they got a term, it's an either a northeasterner or something. It didn't get warm till July 15th. Like, it literally was one of those years where heaters in the dugouts, at times you would go, no way. And it happens every so once in a while, and I just happened to be part of that time frame. But you know, that organization was still under the sellout streak, and certainly that team, high expectations that did not deliver. But
Pedroia, Pena at short. He'll make the play to first. There's the second out.
Those are great fans.
But it is one of those unique places where, as a visitor, you don't appreciate it as much because the facilities are not as updated as the newer stadiums. And you go there and you start thinking about all the players that were there. But now they've updated it and they've kept it fresh, and they're really trying to keep it for however many more years. At some point, they got to think about that in Wrigley, either building a replica or somehow, some way, a new stadium's got to come sooner or later, but they're going to try to keep it.
There were drawings on the board not that many years ago of a replica of Fenway just behind where it sits right now.
Well, there were some concerns in both stadiums from the structure standpoint, and they've addressed them, and they said that they've met the structural needs. But you think about all the new stadiums and what they have, and the luxury boxes and the different abilities to generate revenue. Fenway has stood, as has Wrigley.
Well, and Fenway's, they've done just about all they can do as well with respect to expansion.
A bouncing ball to first. That'll be an easy play for Freddie Freeman, and David Ortiz snaps his bat in half in frustration as the Red Sox are out in order in the top of the 8th inning. The man who will lead things off for the Braves. 3 runs, 10 hits for Atlanta, 6 runs, 12 hits for the Red Sox. And Tazawa back out there and delivers a quick strike.
Dan's only had 6 at-bats in the homestand. 1 for 6.
1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, Dan had back-to-back starts May 22nd against Milwaukee and the opener of the Colorado series. For 6 with 4 strikeouts for Dan. 2 balls and a strike in the Atlanta 8th.
And depending really on the Anderson Simmons situation will determine how much more playing time he gets.
Yeah. It was obvious that Anderson wanted to hit. I mean, he was lobbying in the dugout. Wanted to.
I think at that point, though, it became a decoy until they could find where Dan Uggla, if he was hitting balls in the cage. I think one of our mics picked up Freddie go just go out there.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That's headed for the facade of the upper deck.
And that was 95 from Tazawa.
You got to give it to me. You got to give me the Harry on the Tozawa. Oh, come on.
You know, Tozawa spelled backwards is what a lot of hitters say after he throws a pitch they've never seen. Now, what's that? Two balls, 2 strikes, and downstairs.
See, that's the difference. You know, I may have jokes, which I do.
Yeah.
But I don't have impressions. That separates us. The only impression I have is, it was nice to meet you. When I met Sean Connery.
Oh. Is that who that was?
That's it.
That's all the way.
That's all I got.
3 balls, 2 strikes. 6-3 Red Sox. Big inning in the game was the 7th. Couple of bloops, broken bat. And the Red Sox scored 4 times to turn the game around. Aaron Harang pitched to beauty. John Lester hung in there for the Red Sox. Now Boston's bullpen with a big cushion. And Uggla draws a walk. Nice at bat for Dan. Boy, he scored some tough pitches.
He's got a good eye. Walked a lot last year. Kept his on base percentage up there at a pretty good level. Look at that.
You know what would be fun between those 2 guys? They could have a bat breaking contest. They're both real strong men. Saw Ortiz snap one after his last at bat. As Laird shoots one toward right. Gomes dives. And did he make the catch? Yes. He robbed Gerald Laird. From a broken bat to a broken heart. That was some kind of play.
Yeah, and the Braves don't have the ability to ask for a replay.
I didn't think he had a chance live to get to this ball, but he got it.
Sure did.
That is a really good catch.
And so that'll be the end of the line for Tozawa. He gets a couple of outs, gives up a hit and a walk. John Farrell taking no chances. It's a 6-3 Boston game. A man aboard in the Atlanta 8th. Inning, a man aboard, 1 out.
Let's get back to our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Big Papi was one of the clues over the last decade. He's made the All-Star team 9 times. That's more than anybody else in the American League. Since 2004, who has been selected to the National League All-Star team the most?
I'm going to say it's somebody has only been 7 times. I don't think it's that much. 7 or 6.
I'm going to go David Wright, but we were going with position players. What if it's a pitcher?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with David Wright.
I'm going to stick with McCann, but I'm wrong.
Well, don't guess it then. I'm going to take a catch. I'm going to stick with Yadier Molina. You're sticking with McCann, or you want to go?
I was going to go Beltran.
That's the right answer. Way to go.
Oh, look there.
Carlos Beltran. And we were all over it. A National League guy that's in the American League.
Yeah.
Said the wrong man.
Brian McCann, 7.
7, see? Darn it.
David Wright, 7.
So Andrew Miller on to pitch for the Red Sox. It'll be Ryan Domit batting for David Hale here. And he takes a strike. More good work for David out of the Braves bullpen. That homer for Domit was number 100 in the big leagues. And nothing in 2. Mentioned yesterday, Andrew Miller could use a little good luck. He had a real rough stretch. He picked up 4 losses, 4 walk-off losses out of the Boston bullpen over an 11 or 12-day span during their long losing streak. And a scorcher into the first row of seats. 0-2.
Most of these guys, I don't even know who they are when they don't have that facial hair. Everybody last year had
quite a different look.
Yeah.
Thomas and Carpenter in the Braves pen. One of them will be selected for the 9th inning. Nothing in 2.
You at home are wondering why 2 guys are throwing. It's all going to be score oriented.
That was tipped and caught by David Ross, and Domit is retired. That's out number 2. And now Ramiro Pena, the batter. He came on in the 6th inning for the Braves. And is 0 for 1. Andrew Miller was pegged for stardom when he was drafted by the Tigers. He was then traded to the Marlins for Miguel Cabrera. It was a gigantic blockbuster deal. And Miller never really panned out as a starter down in South Florida. The Red Sox acquired him in 2010 for a left-handed pitcher named Dustin Richardson. And became a full-time relief pitcher in 2012.
He had a lot of command problems when he was pitching down in Florida for the Marlins. He seems to have those ironed out.
Yeah, he's quiet. His mechanics does a little slide step, allows his long arm to catch up and just smoother. A guy that big can get too long. And when you get too long on the backside, you just have no way to catch up and throw the ball where you want to. So he kind of just slides or kind of glides towards home now. You know, the taller you are, the more chances for things to break down, even though you have leverage and you are going to be closer to the plate typically when you release the ball.
1-2. Well, this guy was, I mean, state of the art in college. Top pitcher in college baseball. Won the Roger Clemens Award as a junior. First team All-American. ACC Pitcher of the Year. Finalist for the Golden Spikes Award.
North Carolina, right?
Correct. And that's caught on and missed. Pena, late break toward first. Ross is going to have to fire, and he gets his man. And that retires the side. Miller with a couple of strikeouts sends this game to the 9th. Boston leads it by 3. Ian Thomas is on for the 16th time for Atlanta, and fellas, his second appearance in this 2-game set with the Red Sox in Atlanta.
Yeah, he ran into some trouble last night in the 7th inning, caused in large part by the fact that he couldn't get over the first base and cover in time. Brock Holt beat this out, and it led to 2 runs and proved to be the difference in the game. So a little extra work today, John.
Yeah, they got him out before batting practice. Talked about just the reaction time, finishing, and then going right to that spot. You know, a left-hander who runs to first base, still, if he could have got there, he could have that sweep tag. He could tag him before he gets to the base. You don't always have to get to the base and touch it with your foot. And it almost as if he conceded halfway that he wasn't going to get there, and he still had a chance to tag him.
So great catch by our camera crew long before the gates were open today at the ballpark, and good work by Roger McDowell to get with Thomas and work on the mistake from yesterday. Let's see how Ian fares here in the 9th inning with Gomes, Sizemore, and David Ross coming up for Boston. Gomes scored the final run of the night for the Red Sox in the 7th inning. Braves have been down in by 2 big innings by Boston in this series. 5 runs in the 5th yesterday, 4 in the 7th tonight.
Brandon Workman, he just got called up.
So maybe no Uehara for the Red Sox. Pop up right center field. Jason Hayward is there, and he's got it. There's out number 1. So we showed you the hard work by Ian Thomas and Roger McDowell before the game. Jen Hildreth has more.
Yeah, you know, and that's something that Freddie Gonzalez said is a play they work on every day with their pitchers, and Roger McDowell trying to get guys like Ian Thomas to get comfortable in a situation like that. He said, you know, sometimes it just takes a little time to get the muscle memory to train your body to be ready in a situation like that.
Well, hopefully that work they put in today, Jen, will help him get over there a little quicker. John, you talk about mechanics a lot, and rightfully so, but who was the most instrumental in helping you develop consistency in yours?
You know, I always worked on it, and I was always striving to throw the perfect pitch, which we all should try to strive. And I think through being hurt, believe it or not, and learning a lot about my body, it's easier, or it's a false read. When you feel good and you're loose and live, you throw the ball, you can get away with bad mechanics or a little tilt here or there because you can manipulate the ball. And that's what I would get away with early. But then as you get hurt and you're dealing with injury, you have to be more precise, and you find out where your body parts need to be. And it was a combination of guys. You know, Leo was down there all the time, but I think from a mechanic standpoint,
Sizemore strikes out looking, 2 out.
I used to watch Glavine. I used to watch Maddox. I learned a lot from Maddox. You know, I never threw like them, but I wanted to throw more closer to the way that his head would stay still and his body would go on a plane towards the catcher instead of drifting. He never really drifted, and that's why he could throw the ball where he wanted to. And you know, I just constantly always worked every offseason. I call dry drills, where you just don't get on a mound and you work with a mirror. And it's similar to golf. You can't slide into a shot. Just like you can't slide into your mechanics. You can't allow that front, I call the front shoulder an invisible line, to go out in front before your legs hit the ground. It's kind of like hitting in the same, you know, getting that foot down. And I just worked on every year something that was giving me trouble And I think by 8th, 9th, 10th year of my career, I fully understood where to get power and where to generate the most. I would say the most commonly misrepresented mechanics in pitching is they work to the outside legs. And you see guys spin and fall off the mound. You have to work on the inside of your legs. That's where your power, inside of your knee, inside of your foot. And that's really where a lot of guys are weaker.
David Ross scalds one towards center. And Upton's there to retire the side. So we head to the bottom of the 9th inning. 6-3 Boston. We'll also have an Andrelton Simmons update for you. So stay tuned. Priority list today. This gives fans who are not current season ticket holders access to buy season tickets for the new Braves ballpark when it opens for the 2017 season. Joining the priority list requires a $100 refundable deposit. Go to Braves.com/new ballpark to sign up today.
And as promised early in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SouthFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T.
Hey, there's a trophy winner. Little League season perhaps over. And
I hope so.
Team with Big Frank.
I hope he's not going to travel ball and playing the next 5 months, 6 months. Let that trophy rest and let your body rest.
Good advice.
The update on Andrelton Simmons. Right ankle inflammation was what was mentioned to us. Braves also were without and are without Evan Gattis, who has a wrist issue. The Braves shorthanded here in the 9th inning, and they'll have to make hay against Koji Uehara, who is on to pitch for Boston. The top of the order up for Atlanta here in the 9th.
Could be very shorthanded tomorrow.
Yeah.
If neither Gattis or Simmons are available to play.
Uehara sealed the deal yesterday for Boston. And Hayward the hitter. And a strike.
He gave up a hit to Chris Johnson, but got a double play after that to end the game. He'll dazzle you with 86 to 89.
Split finger dropping off the table there.
Jason laid off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and miss. 1 away in the 9th.
You will see as many funny swings against this guy as any pitcher in baseball because of the Not because he's throwing it by anybody, but because of that split and the change of speeds between it and his fastball.
B.J. Upton, the batter. He has a double in 4 trips, and he jumps at the first pitch and skies it to right. Gomes is going to get there. That's out number 2. John Lester, somehow, some way, is in line to win this ball game. If he gets the win, it would be his 5th of the year, the 105th of his career, which would tie him with Lefty Grove on the all-time win list for the Red Sox.
Like I said, he went on a headbutt.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but the Boston bats bailed him out in the 7th. A roller foul by Freeman, and the Braves are down to their last strike.
Timing can be everything in sports, and certainly in baseball. And I think the one inning where the bases were loaded, nobody out, the placement of pacing the 9th hitter, which is the pitcher, ultimately proved to be the inning that he survived and ultimately allowed him to be in this position.
Yeah, 1-2-3 double play. That was the 2nd inning.
You'd be tempted to face the hitter and maybe get him out and then get the pitcher out, but he deliberately pitched away from Pasternak. He walked him and got out of the inning.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
This game may have very well turned out the same way today. We'll never know, but last night's game certainly had and awoken the Boston Red Sox. They were down and out 6-1, going to lose their 11th in a row, 2 outs, and it shed some light.
Talking to some of the Boston folks, they said they won countless games that way all year last year. And that's your ball game. The Red Sox, after a 10-game losing streak, have come to Atlanta and won 2 in a row. John Farrell's boys from Beantown take care of Atlanta tonight by a 6-3 final score. John Lester the winner, Anthony Favaro the loser, and Koji Uehara picks up his 11th save of the season. Back with more from Atlanta right after this.